Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. This was directed and written by Geroge Miller, also assisted on the writing by Nick Lathoris. Stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth, Tom Burke. It is a prequel, in a sense, to Fury Road, which was the last Mad Max film he did a few years ago. So this is Charlize Theron played Furiosa in that film. So they've taken that character and kind of done a origin story, which is what it is. But it's in that world, that Mad Max world. As I said, Geroge Miller, who's, excelled doing these films, if you ask me. When I was growing up, I loved the Mad Max films, especially the second one, Road Warrior. I thought I had it on videotape. I used to watch it. I thought it was fantastic. Back in the days when I liked Mel Gibson, I thought, this is such a great film. And that film above, I think more than any of them, has been the most popular. And it's the one that they use most of all, this idea of driving gasoline or whatever, food, whatever it will be, and pirates attacking the tankers and stuff. This is the whole bit that they kind of repeated that in Fury Road. They repeat it here in Furiosa. So it's more of the same, but I got to say, when I watched this, I was straight away, first 20 minutes, this is brilliant, because it's got the humour as well, which I think is very important, and very Australian kind of humour. They're very similar to us in that sense, that they've got this kind of, almost gallows humour, some of it. It's like, maybe less American in that way and more sort of akin to, that British sense of humour, which can be quite dark sometimes. But this is a post-apocalyptic world, a world where savages rule and, there's a lot of nefarious characters. So, it's kind of suits having that sort of sense of humour. But there's some great laugh out loud stuff straight away in there. You got Hemsworth this time as the main villain, even though they bring back characters from Fury Road as well, because obviously it's like I say, it's a prequel. Highly entertaining, an excellent addition to the canon, in my opinion. What did you think?
So, I think I'll preface to say my favourite Mad Max film is Mad Max 2.
Same.
I know a lot of people like, Furiosa's my favourite now, and it's such a great job of it, and it is a good film.
Yeah.
But I still
possibly a second favourite.
Possibly, yeah. I just yearn for I liked the tone and the stylings of like Mad Max 1 and 2. Thunderdome got a bit silly at times, but I liked how that was done.
But it did have Tina.
It did have Tina.
So it kind of made up for it.
But
we don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home.
But Fury Road was great.
It was.
And Fury Road was, for Miller, a labour of love, wasn't it? He'd been working for years to get that film, how he envisioned it, that comic book look, that visual style, really took the time. And it's a great film. It's a film that goes 100 miles an hour. It does not give up. You start that film and you're on a ride for 2 hours and you're not getting off. And it's brilliant for it. It does a really great job, and it's a spectacle. Yeah. It's weird. In some ways, I think... there is similarities, obviously, between this and Fury Road. It's obviously done in the same style and all those things, but this has a lot more room to breathe. It's a slower paced story, although we get those action pieces. There's a lot of we're telling a story and we're weaving things, which is very nice, and it does add a lot of... It enriches the story that comes in Fury Road. It kind of allows a lot of... fills a lot of the background in, which is nice, Mm-hmm. The question really is when I came in, when I first heard it announced, and my first question is, do we need this film? And after watching the film, however much I did enjoy the film a bit, I still came away going, it's actually not necessary, this film. That's one of my issues. It's like, and I guess this is me being tired nowadays with every fucking thing that comes out being, we're building a universe of films now. we're having a prequel and a sequel and a spin-off series and the comic book, and you know, it's exhausting. Really, really, and that's another reason why I like A24 so much, because it's unique individual solo films, not Hollywood. It's
not
just
franchises.
Yeah, and so that's the exhausting part. But taking that aside, was it a great film? Yes, it was a great film. I thought that the performances were great. It was funny, as you were saying, great action sequences. It told an interesting story. You know, her kind of revenge. It's, you know, it's the classic revenge kind of female revenge on the male master kind of story that we've seen in kind of exploitation cinema of the 70s and stuff like that. You know, it's a very akin to
well,
that.
this is the thing about these films. I think they do have something to say. Sorry to interrupt you, but you made a really good point there about the female revenge against the male masters. But I think it had a lot to say about, which again is quite relevant to what's happening in America, this idea of controlling women's birth rights and what's happening in terms of their production, because again that leads into Fury Road, doesn't it? You know, the idea of her protecting the pregnant woman and stuff, and there's more of that in this one, and I thought that had a lot to say, you know, about that. So I kind of appreciate these films for that, whichever one, you know. I think they all had something to say about society, you know, in terms of, you know, their analogies.
Absolutely, I think probably the strongest point of these films, all of the films, you know, and Miller's storytelling is that you know, we are talking about the kind of this future world where resources have run down, and how does society reshape itself, and it obviously reshapes itself in some quite ugly ways in terms of women, in terms of you know, the lower people who have not got the power, are treated like shit, and they're in those tunnels, you know, dealing with the corpses and all that kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff and allegorical going on. So all that I thought was really great, and it's a great story from start to finish. The ending sequence was really entertaining. Some of the warfare stuff you had to get to see, kind of preluding to what is to come, and all the kind of villains in their little James Bond style cave. Yeah, that was that was hilarious.
Yeah.
So very interesting in that respect. One of my problems, to be honest, is something that people seem to praise a lot, and that's the style. Now, obviously, the style was introduced in Fury Road. This golden, saturated colour palette, really intense. But I felt it in Fury Road. There was a lot of care taken to perform this, and so it was really like they were doing frame by frame. We got to get this right and stuff. It didn't feel like that here, and I mean, this film has had trouble production. It was meant to come out years ago. Okay. It's 8 years since the original one.
Yeah, it's flown by, hasn't it?
It has, but I think that's a problem for the film. The film's performed very badly at the box office, and I think one of the issues, amongst others, is it's been such a gap. People have forgotten about Fury Road. It's too long for the casual viewer.
Well, as you say that, did you think that's why they did what they did at the very end? Because I don't think it's a spoiler to say at the very end, you suddenly see Charlize Theron again just for that moment, and then they have lots of clips from Fury Road as the credits are coming up. And that was one thing that I thought, have they done this because it's been so many years since Fury Road? Are they almost enticing people to go back to it? You know, those that haven't seen it and youngsters have just come to this for the first time, are they just sort of giving them that taste of, go watch the second part to this?
I definitely had the same feeling. And it makes sense to do that.
It does.
It kind of ties it to it. But I think it's been left so long. I mean, there's been issues about, it's interesting. It's a female-led film, but there were over 70% of the audience that went to see it, and it's not a great audience, was male. It's a male franchise, this. So it hasn't performed very well. It's an adult film. It's not dragged the families in. It's not dragged the female viewers in too much, to be honest. So it's performed really badly, really. which is really interesting, and it actually puts a sale in because there was other films planned. The Wasteland is another one that they were going to do.
Yeah,
that's probably not going to happen now, but the style. What disappointed me is that, to me, it felt like it was rushed, and they didn't take as much care, because I would see one scene and go, that looks beautiful, what an amazing shot of the desert and the sky up here and stuff, and the next scene would be some dodgy green screen and not focused right, and I'd go, oh, that's hideous.
Really? I didn't notice many shots like that in it.
It became really visible to me,
right.
And I sat there going, it's really inconsistent. Like, you would just switch between things, and I've seen a lot of people like talking online about like some really bad compositing on there and green screening, which lets it down for me. It really took me kind of like, oh, you know, and I don't know why they had to push it so far sometimes, you know. It's like, I don't know, it's interesting, and to me that's the contrast between the Fury Road and this, is the I don't think as much care has gone into it.
I don't know, I'm not sure I agree with that. I think George Miller's imagination, like with George Lucas, is now he's an old man, but he's still working, and he's got all of these new tools at his disposal to expand this universe. And that's what George did, you know, when he got to the prequels, you know, for better or worse. Like you just mentioned Attack of the Clones earlier being a CGI fest and not always looking great. But that was the one thing I thought with this, is it's great to see his expansion of this universe, whereas, you know, we go back to the Mel Gibson films, as good as they were, they felt quite small and compact, as in, this is happening here now, but what about the rest of the world? Whereas this gives you that impression, yeah, the rest of the world is kind of like this as well, or unless the rest of that Australian world, you know, post-apocalyptic. So I kind of enjoyed that side of it. I didn't notice too many places where it looked ropey. Maybe that's just not me, you know, me not paying 100% attention where I should have done. I thought a lot of those set pieces were really impressive. Love the art design again. Things like, you know, when they had that spinning thing on the back of the tanker, and that
Bob knocker.
Yeah, but that parachute gets caught in it, and it makes it look like an octopus as it's things like that. I think, oh, it looks great. You know, that's just from an art design perspective. I thought I really appreciate some of the choices they made there. Was it as good as Fury Road? Possibly not, but I thought it was up there. I thought it was a worthy prequel to it, and I thought she did well because she's replacing Charlize Theron, and everybody loved that character from Fury Road, because the big thing was they replaced Mel Gibson. They got Tom Hardy to play Mad Max. So I think a lot of people, as much as they may love Tom Hardy, had this problem with it, Mad Max being played by another character, because Mel was so associated with that. Yeah. And I got to be honest with you, I don't like Mel Gibson at all as a person, but it's one time I would have thought I would have liked to have seen him return for that, even as an older, grizzled Max. I think that would have suited it. But still didn't spoil Fury Road for me that he wasn't in it. And I really enjoyed this as a prequel to it. I thought Hemsworth was good. It was nice to see him do something that wasn't Marvel. You know, and he's a bad guy as well, so it's something that he's not heroic. He's a bit of a son of a bitch in it, which was nice to see. But nobody complained about his prosthetic nose like they did about Bradley Cooper's.
No, they didn't. But I did feel like he was very Marvel-y in his character.
Well, there was some points where he had the red cloak, and I thought, he's looking a bit Thor-esque here. So surely someone should have said, let's change the colour of the cloak. I mean, there's other bits where it's a bit more white or see-through and stuff, but the bits where, I mean, I love this chariot. He's got a chariot with 3 bikes. That, just like I'd say the art design perspective, is spot on and hilarious, but yes, there was moments I thought he's looking a bit too Thorish here. They could have done more to disguise that possibly, but
yeah, I think it's a good film and it's enjoyable. I've seen people saying, "Oh, it's better than Fury Road," and I totally disagree with that.
I don't think it was better.
A better ride. I think there's
this one was a little bit too long. If anything, if I want to complain about anything here, it was 2.5 hours long. 2 hours would have been fine.
Yeah,
they could have lost some of that, and it still would have been great. But yeah, not as good as Fury Road, but I'd say a worthy prequel. Still worth watching. There's plenty of action in there.
Yeah, if you loved Fury Road, I mean, absolutely go and watch it. I mean, it is exactly in that universe, and it's great, and it does all those things again. I'd say I still like the originals more, to be honest. But
you'll never beat Road Warrior. It's just so good.
I think there's something about the realistic grounding in them that makes it more believable. And stuff
very Australian cinema.
Yeah.
Whereas these have become a bit more Hollywood. But that's just because of the effects. And like I say, it does give him that opportunity to really indulge his imagination and expand that universe. And I appreciate that side of it because he's got a fantastic imagination. He is a George Lucas in his own way. He's, George Miller. He's just, this is his thing. This is what he does most successfully, like Lucas with Star Wars. But I would like to see more. I would, it's a shame if they don't do the Wasteland film because I'd like to see it. I'd like to see more from this universe. I don't think it's that terrible. And I think you said did terribly at the box office. I think that's a shame. It's a shame that not many more people saw it.
It is a shame.
It's worth watching.
It is a shame. You never like a film like this to do badly because it's not a bad film. But I think I think I'm just exhausted from franchises and constant sequels and stuff. So
that's fair enough.
I think that had an effect, and maybe it's not its own fault. It's like I get that, but I think if there was any franchises I'd rather watch more of, it'd be this one because like you say, they're not so family orientated. They've got the darker stuff in there. People. There was always people losing limbs and very dark sort of content in terms of we're in a post-apocalyptic world run by savages. So That's perhaps one of the interesting things because, of course, we've seen in the last couple of years, we've seen 18-rated films coming out from like Tarantino and things like Joker and stuff, big films, and they've actually done really well and surprised everyone and took great box office. And, kind of male-leaning films, male audience. So there was kind of a reprieve in there to go, oh, this is great news. Maybe we'll see some more adult films and more in that way because obviously a lot of Hollywood's been chasing the 12A, family-friendly, grab as much audience as you can. So in that sense, it's quite disappointing that a film like this has come along again, kind of 18-rated. I think it's 18.
It says R on IMDb, so I had R rating over there.
So a really adult film, and and it's done so poorly, which is bad news for getting more adult films produced by Hollywood. So that's disappointing.
Well, there we go. I would advise people to see it, especially if they've enjoyed any of the previous Mad Max Saga films. So for me, it's a thumbs up. I enjoyed it. From you, it's a middle. Middle to up. Okay, fair enough. There we go. Thanks very much for watching this video. We really appreciate it. The best way to support our channel is by giving us a like and subscribing. Other ways to support us include buymeacoffee.com or become a patron over on patreon.com. This video is also sponsored by funkytshirts.co.uk, so check out their website for a whole range of cool and funky t-shirt designs. All the links are in the description.